Welcome to the Women Writing Podcast. I'm your book coach, Lisa Kovala. I'm an author accelerator, certified fiction and memoir book coach, and the author of Like Water for Weary Souls, Sisters Winter War, Surviving Struthoff, and the upcoming Hygge House Cozy Mystery Series. As a Finnish Canadian, I also love my coffee. Take a coffee break with us as we chat about all things writerly with authors and publishing industry professionals. And don't forget to sign up for my Women Writing newsletter on Substack and subscribe to my YouTube channel for more great content. On today's episode of Women Writing, I'm having a coffee break with Sophia Laetnner Joubert. She is a thought leader, speaker, and a writer dedicated to helping people step into love, one sacred choice at a time. As the founder of the Step Into Love movement, she teaches embodiment practices that help individuals create ripples of positive change, starting with self-love. Through her Substack publications, Step Into Love with Sophia, Weekly Reflections and Embodiment Practices, Dearest Young Lady, Letters of Encouragement for Young Women, and her speaking engagements, Sophia shares timely wisdom for calling in clarity, embodying transformation, and living in alignment. Hi, Sophia. How are you?
Hi, Lisa. I'm great. Thank you so much for chatting again. How are you?
I'm so good. I'm thrilled to have you on my podcast. I was on yours a while back. We had such a lovely conversation. So I've been looking forward to this all week. And so, first of all, we're having a coffee break. What are you drinking today?
I'm drinking a beautiful hot cocoa
Oh,
that I got this like dark chocolate from Costa Rica when I visited in January, and it's so yummy. So I just add the hot water to that mix, and I love it. What
so
are you
good.
drinking?
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm having coffee. And normally I just have a little bit of cream or something in it. But today I put a little bit of what's it called? Kind of a flavored thing, like a bit like vanilla, and
Mhm.
it's really delightful. So it's kind of just nice afternoon sort of hangout type of coffee. And I try not to do that too often because it's so addictive to flavors.
I
Typically
love
like
it.
just once in a while. So I'm so
Yeah.
excited about this because you have the most interesting work that you do and this interesting calling, which is what I'm going to call
Mhm.
it because it's to me so um soul felt. So I don't know how to describe that. So can you tell us just a little bit about um how you would describe what you do? Because I think that's fascinating.
Definitely. Thank you for the opportunity. So, I have a movement that I write about on Substack. So, my movement, I call it Step Into Love. And this is all about teaching and sharing with people embodiment practices, which to me is like the next level of manifestation because you're really bringing what you desire into physical practice and into physical form. And I'm writing my first book, a novel, which will demonstrate basically my journey and my uh understanding of moving from like self-hatred and insecurity into self-love. So a lot of what I write about and share online is embodiment practices for self-love or teaching people how to embody social skills, especially young people needing to be trained on how to like make eye contact and embody confidence and things like that. So embodiment is really the umbrella term that touches everything that I write and speak and teach and share. And as I mentioned, like the novel is going to be loosely based on my life, demonstrating through story how I learned these embodiment practices and how I think other people can pick them up and learn them through also practicing. Like, for example, I used to be plagued as a teenager by this desire to write, but never finding the time for it. So, how did I start making the time to write and prioritizing those things that I say I care about? That's what embodiment is all about.
Oh, I think there's so much right there. So great. Okay,
Yeah.
let's roll back time a little bit to
Sure.
when you were young. Like at what stage did you realize that like this is a direction that you were interested in? So and where did that come from?
Yeah. Okay. Multiple places. Again, I think that I growing up as a teenager and a young woman, I think it's very common to deal with like body insecurity, social anxiety, and I dealt with all that. I also had this added layer of perceived visibility because I have a famous father, and so I was really concerned with my social status and whether people were talking with about me. I was really concerned. I was kind of a perfectionist. And I loved sports and music and writing. And I think through sports and certain things like that, I learned some disciplines in terms of, you put in what you get out. So like with track, my coaches would always say, you put in a certain level of effort, you're going to see results. And then I started applying that to writing. But I was also taught mindfulness practices from a young age. My mother brought us to like yoga when I was 11 or 12 years old because we were going through what ended up being like my parents' divorce, kind of tumultuous relationship. And so I really appreciate the wellness and mindfulness practices that were taught to me. I was really spiritual and religious leaning as a kid. And so I just have always been drawn to wisdom and how can I employ wisdom in my life and learn from it and learn from the people who are wiser and more experienced than me in my life. And then actually, like I'm saying, like physically applying and taking those practices to heart and doing the thing because there's this cognitive dissonance when I tell myself, oh, I want to write. And then, like, if weeks go by when I was a teenager, I was journaling. But let's say in college, I would maybe miss a week and I'd feel this little guilt hanging over me. And I'm like, no, I just have to make the time, do the thing, not feel the guilt. So there's so many modalities, but I went through a lot of healing modalities as well as mindfulness. But I hope that answered your question in terms of like what influences drew me to this work. I just think we are human and it's a beautiful privilege to have this life experience. So I'm like, sometimes we've got to get out of our heads and our swirling anxiety so much and learn to like ground down in the body and, do the things. So that's been a passion of mine because I've really gotten better at that, like as I've become more of an adult.
For sure. I think so many people will relate to what you're describing as, like we all experience some kind of pressure as young people, as teens, as children, whatever is our family circumstance or
Mhm.
whatever situation we live in. Um, and I think it's lovely that your mom had the foresight to say, okay, let's do some yoga. And like, just like, because it's a great practice to begin with, but then just to like breathe and ground yourself. And like, I think everyone
Mhm.
needs some outlet for that, the feelings they're having. And I love the idea of journaling too. I think that's an amazing thing. But what a great advice, because I think a lot of us who are writing are putting a lot of pressure on ourselves to write like every day or so many words. And then when we don't achieve those little mini goals that we think are important, we're not, then that negative self-talk comes up, right? Like,
Yep.
I'm not good enough. I'm not a real writer. I can't do this. Like, because like we swing too far the other direction instead of going like, it's okay. Like
Mhm.
just pick it up again and keep going. Do you have
Exactly.
any suggestions about how folks can approach those really difficult moments when you're like, oh, I can't?
Yeah, I love that question, and I agree with everything you said. Um, Definitely one thing I learned in speaking with other women in my life as well is we're just like that negative self-talk, that voice that you hear, you have to like hear it and clock it and just recognize that it's your fear trying to protect you. It's your nervous system trying to protect you and keep you safe and alive, and that's fine, but it's not the voice of truth. The truth is that you deserve grace and love and forgiveness just like everyone else. And the truth also is that you wouldn't speak to like your best friend like that. So I love saying to people, try to start speaking to yourself how you would speak to your best friend. You would be encouraging. You would say it's not a big deal. You can get back on that horse tomorrow. Anything like that. And then I also love the subconscious reprogramming tools such as subliminal affirmations, subliminal rewiring audios, neurofeedback, hypnosis, meditation, emotional freedom technique, all these neuroscience-backed tools that will help you rewire your mind and your beliefs so that that negative self-talk wouldn't be occurring as much, or at least like if it does come up, it doesn't feel so anxiety inducing in the body. You just like recognize it, you clock it, and you're like, oh yeah, like that's that old habit that
Yeah.
formed and is meant to support me and keep me safe, but it's not um going to put me in a it's not going to freeze me. It's not going to put me in fight or flight too much anymore, or I'm not going to let it stop me from doing what I want to do.
Yeah, that's so good. I've always thought of like when I was teaching high school, we'd do these free writing activities and I'd give them a certain like 10 minutes and I'd give them a little prompt. And there were sort of three rules: write the whole time and silence
Mhm.
your inner critic and have fun. And now
Fun.
I look back at the silence your inner critic and I realize,
Mhm.
oh, that's not quite what I wanted. What I really wanted was them to, acknowledge that and then say, oh, and like you say, oh, that's just my voice protecting myself and just it's okay. We're gonna just do the thing and
Yeah.
like not shut it down, but just so I love that idea of like kind of like clocking it, acknowledging it. And then because I think when I was telling the students to silence that inner critic, first of all, now I think, is that even possible? Right? Like I'm not
Yeah,
sure that it is possible. Like it's always there, but we could maybe speak more gently about it and like you say,
totally.
give yourself grace. So it's kind of a mind shift that I've had in the last few years too
Mhm.
about it because I didn't think of that critic as being um I thought of it as something I could just push aside. And now I'm like, no, no, it's just part of who I am. Like that's the
Yes.
voice in my head. It's with me all the time. But
Yep.
I don't have to follow everything it says, but also I can just go, like we're good. We're okay. We're fine. Let's do the thing.
Yeah. I love that you bring that up because I think it is a change happening in our culture and people are still processing that sort of thing. Like I'm seeing people online saying, kill the version of yourself this, kill the version of yourself that, silence. And I'm like, these are strong words. And I don't agree with them, because I am more about, and so many of the philosophies, ancient philosophies support this idea of accepting yourself, accepting all parts of yourself, accepting what is, and how do you have peace with what is. So when things come up, I met with a healer in when I lived in Florida, who's this wonderful acupuncturist, and I would say something, and this is definitely a detail in my book, where I would be like, I feel like when I get angry, I become a monster. And she was so clear. She was like, she does not like being called a monster. This healer, Michelle, was like, why are you calling yourself a monster? Like, that's mean. And you need to get to know her and accept and integrate these versions of yourself. And I was like, yeah. And what you said about silencing the inner critic, um, it leads to such a dynamic conversation and dialogue when you have that critic voice and all the other parts of yourself talking. I feel like that's great fodder for writers. So I'm with you on allowing all the voices to be there, but then having this clear sense of what's my vision? What do I have faith in? What do I truly believe? And what do I want to be guiding me? And then these other things that I'm hearing, fears, concerns, worries, uh, those can be labeled and
Yeah.
they can be used as information, but they're not what's guiding you, you know?
Oh, I think that's so good. I really love that. Like I say, I think that like we've talked about this, you and I before about Sisu and that idea of courage and determination and moving forward, even though the circumstances aren't ideal or it's you don't even
Mhm.
know if something will go forward. And I think that kind of plays into this too, because um, if you're fearful as a writer or you have anxiety about something or you feel like what if I'm successful if I publish this book? Or what if I'm not successful if I publish this book? Like whatever the feelings you have around it, allow those to be a feeling you have but
Mhm.
don't stop because of those feelings. So I feel like this is really resonating for me as a writer. I hope that other folks will find that resonates for them as well. I think it will. We're recording this just days before Valentine's Day, and
Mhm.
it'll come out in March. But I love that because you really are talking about how you can move from feeling doubts about yourself to self-love. So, what does that look like in practice? Because I think it's so beautiful, and I think we all want to embrace that. But what practical maybe ways can we try to do that in our daily in little ways.
Yeah, thank you for that question. I have very many options that you can try to do all of them, or you could just try adding one of these to your routine and then have it stack and add more as you like. I think, like we talked about, the positive self-talk and speaking lovingly to yourself is foundational. That's so important. When you wake up in the morning, first thing, gratitude for this day, for this life, gratitude for your body and the fact that you can stand up out of bed and go get your warm beverage of choice. And I just really focus, especially in the morning, you're priming your day, you're priming yourself with gratitude, presence, attention, deep breaths, calmness. If you have time before you have to go to work, if you can give yourself extra time so that you're not like immediately in that cortisol spike, I find that's so helpful because, again, as a teenager, I would just get into that anxiety state, carry me through the day, and then wonder why I had so much anxiety. So, self-talk, having a good morning routine that supports you. And I love habit stacking things like at the end of my skincare routine is when I do a brief emotional freedom technique tapping routine. So that is good for releasing any excess like fears or emotions that maybe aren't serving you. I also do a little chakra activation meditation when I go outside and get my morning sunlight. So that's another habit stack with like waking up, getting sunlight in my eyes, and saying basically a prayer affirming that I'm aligned and activated for my highest purpose in love today. And the intention is always to be moving in love, be moving with purpose. And if I get off track, if I have, say, some conflict arise or something maybe happens, then I can take a moment later in the day, like at my lunch break or even in the evening, where I could go use a door as a portal and step through and just be like, I'm going through another state change now. Or some people drink a glass of water and be like, I'm going to feel clear after this. Like, I just love these little rituals to state your intention and then say, like, I'm going to have a state change after this or feel better after this and move through your emotions that way. And if I'm feeling any stuckness, writing, journaling, I love the morning pages thing. I also love evening pages. So at some point in the day, returning to that gratitude, like first thing in the morning, and then I love doing gratitudes at night. And I would say that those are the main things. Like I love morning stretches, movement, again, gratitude for the body, anything that's like giving yourself that little bit of extra love. I love to open the heart and like call in love and embody that love first thing, because then you can be that love out in the world and shine brighter and have more love to give to others. Like basically, you want to fill your own cup and then give overflow and excess to others. And like I said, if I get off track, just a little emotional freedom technique or a little meditation or a little step through a portal or something to get back into I'm operating out of love now. That's so helpful for me because you're connecting this feeling or this belief, this desire to be back in the state of moving in love. You're connecting that to a physical practice. So hopefully those are some nice examples of
Oh,
how to like move with love through the day. Yeah.
I love them so much because they're simple and actionable. You don't need special equipment. You don't
Mhm.
need to go somewhere. You don't need to drive somewhere. You can just be present and do these little actions. And I think
Yeah.
that's such a lovely thing. Like I've been listening to a podcast about sleep and I love sleep. It's one of my favorite topics.
So
And
good for you.
I'm a great sleeper. When I'm not, it's not good, but I'm not a morning person. And I've learned that about myself and my
Mhm.
body. And so I allow myself to have a quieter, slower moving time in the morning. And
Love.
then I'm ready. But I
Mhm.
also love the idea, like I do a lot of movement and like soft, stretchy movement because I just feel like that's really grounding. And the whole idea of a gratitude practice, I think, is so important. For me, it's before I go to sleep. I just
Yeah.
run through my day and I run through what I'm grateful for, and I've just made that part of my practice. And it's a lovely way to just fall asleep, just having feel like, okay, maybe not everything went so well in the day, but I can really focus on all the positives. But I love the
Definitely.
idea of starting the day like that with gratitude because it puts you in that mindset for how to approach the rest of the day. And, as somebody who wakes up oftentimes not super happy, like I'm kind of a little grouchy, I'm a little bit
Want more sleep?
tired,
That's
little
normal.
but then you can just center into your body and just be okay. I'm grateful for these things, and it just sets you up more quickly for a good positive day. And I just love the idea of the glass of water or the portal, like walking through it. It's such a physical way of going, okay, I'm moving beyond this now. I'm just gonna step through this
Mhm.
doorway. I'm gonna leave that behind and start fresh. Here we go. And it's like shedding that whatever that negative experience was.
Yeah.
Like that's really cool.
Yeah, that's a fun one. And on that, like if say the feeling comes up again, it's like no guilt. The healing journey is never linear, but I just find it's helpful to do these practices and it becomes easier to kind of release things that no longer serve you and move in love. And I love that you bring up evening routine as well because I think those are like the key times where you can give yourself a little bit of extra self-love time in the morning and then also at night and the gratitude. And you can bookend your days this way because it's like you're setting yourself up for a great day and then you're setting yourself up for good sleep. And even if things, like you said, didn't go perfectly all day, you have these dedicated time periods where you're like, I'm grateful, I'm loving, I'm even, I'm trying my best. Like
That's
no one's perfect, but you're like, I'm trying my best. And that's so important. And one tool I meant to add that I think is super helpful is music
yes.
for raising your energy. So you want to be in a certain state, put on like your favorite lovey music, or I love like healing frequencies. So before bed, I'm listening to the deep sleep frequencies. And for me, I feel like that stuff really works. So there's morning stuff that will wake you up, and there's evening stuff that will help you fall asleep. So I definitely love music as a tool as well.
I love music as a tool so much. And I know a lot of writers use music while they're writing. Often they'll have a playlist based on whatever story they're working on because it gets them
Right.
into the right mind frame.
Mhm.
Or they just like the background noise. It's kind of like subtle and soothing and lets them concentrate. Like, so there's lots of folks use music in different ways while they're writing. So I love that so much. And you also mentioned tapping, which I've seen a few YouTube videos about tapping, and I'm so fascinated by it because it's, again, like just everything's connected. I know, our mind, body, so everything's connected. So, can you, for those people who haven't come across tapping before, can you kind of explain it a little bit?
Sure. I have trained with some of the like original EFT masters who started doing EFT, emotional freedom technique, in the 80s. And now that we have almost 30 years of data, it's become more popular that this is a really healing, psychosomatic and neuroscience-based healing tool. So basically, it was developed based on acupressure points in the body. So if you like acupuncture, you'll also love this. There's certain acupressure points where this will help you tap on them and you're dealing with an emotion maybe that you're trying to release. And the whole purpose is feeling safe and feeling your central nervous system calm down to feel safe to release that emotion. So it's been used for post-traumatic stress, for people dealing with any sort of trauma or just heavy emotions as they come up. For me, I love to do it every day because it just helps with that kind of consistent emotional processing. But how it works is you start with this karate chop point and you say a phrase like, even though I am slightly concerned about my future, and then there's always a phrase of acceptance, I totally and completely love and accept myself. And then that acceptance is what helps you to kind of process out the emotion. And then you move through tapping points like eyebrow, side of eye, under eye. And you keep saying, like, even though I'm concerned about my future, I don't know what it's going to look like under the nose, on the chin. It's wonderful. And there's great demos out there. I have full demos on Substack that I can share. And then the collarbone point feels super great. And then I usually guide people and say, like, I know my emotions are here to serve me, and I can release now. This is the underarm point. Any emotions that no longer serve me, or just any emotions that want to go now. And I'm so grateful for my body and my emotions. And the forehead, the top of the head point feels so great too. And my mother-in-law told me she was already naturally doing this before learning EFT. So I was like, great, you just know what your body likes.
Just feels nice.
Yeah. And so that counts as one whole round when you do like all those points and say these statements. And typically you need 2 to 3 rounds of tapping on the emotion to feel some release. Oh, I forgot to say the first thing. The first thing most practitioners do is they'll say, okay, say the statement, say the phrase like, I'm concerned about my future, and how strong is the feeling from 1 to 10. So say you're at like a 9 or 10, then you want to get it down to where you feel calm in your body. It's below a 5, or maybe it's a 3 or 2 or 1. So you do like, you could do 10 rounds of tapping, get it down. And then some practitioners also will start bringing in like gratitude or positive affirmation tapping. So it's all about releasing the negative emotion, releasing the negative state, clearing that space, and then you can bring in a positive affirmation like, I'm more clear on my future now. I'm grateful that clarity is coming in, you know? So I love it as this, it's a wonderful tool because it's combining the neuroscience and the nervous system regulation, and you're saying statements. So it's a wonderful healing tool that I have been practicing now for like 2 years.
Oh, it's so good. And I feel like it goes back to, like you're saying, all the connections, right? Our thoughts, our body, our movements, our like the affirmation, the gratitude piece, like it's all coming and then
Mhm.
like releasing the things that aren't serving you.
Yeah.
It's all like it's all connective. So it makes so much
Yeah.
sense to me. And it feels nice. Like if
Yes.
people haven't tried
I
it, it's really
I
good.
love teaching EFT because it is kind of like a all-in-one solution. Like you said, like I do feel like it is an all-in-one solution because you're doing that, and it's reinforcing that whole mind-body connection. And moving, walking, yoga, Pilates, anything like that, you're also like, if you're setting an intention in yoga, I love when yogis are like, let's set an intention, have this practice, you move through it, that's wonderful. But EFT is so powerful for specifically processing negative emotions that you want to release.
Yeah.
And it's great for that. If people have like stuck emotions, I definitely recommend it, or are trying to break through new levels of, say, success, but they're feeling blocked. There's like a ceiling to get through in terms of their belief. It's also wonderful for that.
Oh, that's so good because I think a lot of us are bringing beliefs that we've had for a very long time, right? Since childhood or since a
Mm.
traumatic event, like we carry them with us for so long that I don't even know that we're aware that we're doing that. But like when you can start to recognize that and be able to say, okay, I want to move over here and I have to let that old idea of who I am or like I was talking with a group of writers the other day about a lot of us have um a family theme that runs through like my family is X, Y, or Z, or we are this thing, or they
Mhm.
have a family secret that is kind of everyone holds that family secret and doesn't share it. And it's kind of like, even if you don't talk about it within the family, it's still unwritten. So there's things we carry with us, like from our experiences in families and other relationships that makes so much sense that you would learn to acknowledge it and release it, and then you can actually move forward, because if if you don't acknowledge it even exists, I don't know how you
Mhm.
can move into the next stage. So I think that's really powerful.
Definitely. This is the author and EFT trainer Carol Look. This is her
Okay.
second book that I trained with, and her second book is on the superpower of gratitude, but the first one is all about breaking through subconscious blocks and why people self-sabotage. And exactly like you said, our brains, our subconscious is formed from the ages of like 0 to 7, and we aren't really in control of how our subconscious mind is programmed. But then when you're an adult, you have the agency to choose to reprogram your subconscious mind. And emotional freedom technique is like an emotional technology in that way because you're using the power of your body and your emotions and your beliefs to release what no longer serves and reprogram and instill these beliefs that do serve you. So it is changing your mind, like hypnosis, like neurofeedback, and other, um, more rigorous, like EMDR, where people use like magnets for literally stimulating neurogenesis in the brain. That's wonderful as well. But things like EFT movement that will stimulate neurogenesis, even in this gentle, gradual way. So I love that you're talking about the subconscious because that's powerful. If you know that you want to achieve this thing, you can't just rely on willpower. Like willpower has limits because the subconscious is what really runs 90% of our operating system. And so the subconscious is what needs to be like treated and reprogrammed in order to set people up for success. And again, the self-sabotaging, the pausing, the quitting, the stopping, the like, I'm too busy or um, getting confused on priorities, that is just the subconscious mind trying to keep you safe in what you know is comfortable and let people, keep operating with what it knows it's used to, its normal base state. And so tools like emotional freedom technique and the other embodiment practices I teach are meant to help people be calm as they're embodying different and changes, embodying new kind of actions or levels of their identity because you need to feel safe while you're doing that in order to really embody it and have success there. Otherwise, a new habit, if you don't really feel prepared or safe or used to it, and it takes like 30 days to form a new habit, um, if your body doesn't feel supported to do that, it won't really stick through. And it's not a problem of willpower. Like people should not blame themselves if they set a goal too high and then they can't attain it. It's really just like um, so many pieces about the subconscious mind and the body and all the things we have to do to support ourselves to create real change.
Yeah, incredible. And as we're speaking now, we're probably 6 weeks ish from
Mhm.
from New Year's resolutions. That I think it's something like 14 days or something. Is it Quitter's Day? That's the second or third Friday of January, and
Yeah.
most people don't even like get past that date. And then there's sort of a I forget what the percentages are, but as the weeks go, people start dropping off more and more and more. And I love
Hmm.
that you said this is not a matter of willpower. So folks, instead of blaming themselves, I can't do it again, and here I go again, another year I've started and I've failed at the whatever. Looking at it from another angle and seeing like
Totally.
what is stopping you from achieving that goal. I personally am not a big fan of New Year's resolutions.
Yeah.
Um, I feel like I like a word of the year, like something that just is in the back of my mind that I'm thinking about throughout the year. And I feel that can have a lot of power as well. But I know that
Mhm.
you speak about the difference between manifestation and embodiment, which I think is fascinating because I've been like thinking, I've been watching again, I watch a lot of and listen to a lot of podcasts about manifesting.
Love it.
And I think
Mhm.
that that's really a fascinating topic. But can you tell us what the difference between manifestation and embodiment is? Because I think that's
Totally. I think this could be a good way to demonstrate it actually. So my word for the year, my focus word is like growth. What's your word for the year? I think I remember seeing it.
oh, mine is I'm glad you asked me that because I'm totally blanking on it right now.
It's okay. It'll
Abundance.
come
It's
back.
abundance.
Oh,
Because
abundance.
I
I
think I
love
was
abundance.
thinking first of last year's word, which I think might have been something more in the idea of like strength, like sort of,
Hmm.
but this year it's abundance.
Okay,
Yeah.
wonderful. So the difference between manifestation and abundance, as I see it, is manifestation has kind of been, as a term, overused and a bit underutilized. And for me, it no longer resonates that much. I did a post on Substack clearly defining and going through like the Merriam-Webster definitions for manifestation versus embodiment. And manifestation, a couple of the definitions actually are like a physical manifestation of an illness or a physical manifestation of something, or a physical, actually, the definition of manifestation uses the word embodiment. So I feel that embodiment is more of, again, a practical, physical reality, a way to like practice and basically make the spiritual real, more physical in your body. Because manifestation can kind of have this sense of like just vision it and be it and do it. And um, what's the thing with The Secret? They're like, the more you focus on it, the more it grows. And all that stuff is true, but it's also not just as simple as that in terms of making real change in your life. Like I said, like there's subconscious blocks to work through. There's supporting your body to make changes. There's more than just vision boarding or believing. There's also taking it into physical action, taking it into your own hands. I always think of this kind of yin and yang and ebb and flow between the physical action, the action that you do, and then trusting and surrendering to divinity or to God. So I'm always like doing both. It's never just one or the other. And for example, to ground this down into reality, if you're saying I'm manifesting abundance, you might visualize abundance, dream about abundance as much as you can, do hypnoses around abundance, and that's all great. And I love like abundant music, abundant hypnoses, using affirmations. But then really embodying abundance would be doing additional things like when you put on your jewelry, you say a little statement like, I am so happy and grateful that I'm abundant. And when you go into your kitchen, you feel so much gratitude for the water and the abundance of like produce that you have or good food. So it's really like bringing that gratitude and that present awareness of the abundance that's already into your life, feeling that in your body and then expanding it outward. And then, like recently for me, I've been going through a transition phase where I'm looking for a couple part-time contracts. And I'm like, I want to have this feeling of abundance as well, of richness, of wealth. So I'm recognizing all the ways that I already am rich in my life. I have such rich relationships. I have such rich friendships. I have a rich home life, a rich creative life, all that. So embodiment is even just a bit more physically grounded to me. And so I love that your word is abundance. Let me think of other ways I would embody abundance. I mean, you can do fun little magical things like little rituals where you maybe write down 100 things that are abundant in your life or 100 things that you love and plant them in the ground. So just embodying that abundance more or being out with people and in community and feeling the abundance of that. But it's more about bringing that awareness that you already have abundance, um, really grounding it into your body, and that pulls what you want more towards you because that becomes your North Star. The more that you feel it, like they say in manifestation, like they say in like The Secret, the more that you feel it, the more that you're able to like focus and move in that direction. And that's so powerful. But I think some people have gotten stuck when they're like, I'm visualizing, but nothing's changing. It's like you got to visualize and take action. So is that a good example?
Oh, that's so good. And it just aligns with everything else you're saying about body and mind and movement. And
It's
like it
all
just makes
connected.
so much sense to me. Because yeah,
Yeah.
you can't like manifesting does feel like you're just kind of thinking about it. And we know like you can't you have to do things. Like it's not gonna
Mhm.
nothing's coming unless you do things. But I love that embodying it, like feeling like you are there and you're grateful and you can see around you the abundance that you have, for instance, or whatever it is you're trying to manifest. Like it just makes a lot of sense to me. And I'm just always bringing it back to writers a little bit. And I think it's something that writers could think about as well in their own practice. Where we're kind of I should say I can be sedentary because I'm at my laptop all day long, but I could take some mental breaks. I can take some moments to have some gratitude. I can do some movement, some breathing, some tapping. I can think about just kind of refresh my mind and my body and then get back to the words. And I think actually that would um open the creative process too.
Mhm.
Like I think there's something about I totally agree with you even on like with walking. Like for me as a creative activity, like walking is so essential. It just your brain is just working on things as you're like looking at the scenery. And it's so
Totally.
important, right? So your body needs it, but your brain needs it too. And so good for the soul, I think. So everything is connected and I don't know that we always think about it like that. And it's such a great reminder, especially for everybody, but for writers that we can really utilize all of this to help our creativity, help us feel grounded, feel like we can look forward into the future and see like, okay, this is what I want to do and not have that maybe fear of whatever it is we fear when we're trying to write, which is
Yeah,
probably lots of things for different people, right?
I love that. I agree. It is all connected and interconnected. And so sometimes friends will be like, how do you manifest or how do you embody? And I'm just kind of I encourage people, I'm like, do what you like. If one I do a mix of things and I listed so many, so it's like move from one thing to the next. If you're
Uh,
feeling stuck in your writing, go on your walk, come back to it. Go play some music, come back. Just
yeah.
keep in motion, basically.
Yeah.
That's what I recommend. Don't get
Yeah.
stuck. And actually, there's no such thing as stuckness. There's just a feeling of stuckness.
Right.
Change is always happening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh, I like that too because I mean, and people can disagree with me, but I don't believe in writer's block, for instance. I just don't
Yep.
believe in it.
Yep.
Um, Maybe that's a choice. I'm not sure. Maybe people who have
A
actually
good
had writer's
choice.
block, but I feel like like you say, it's just if you're feeling like you're not sure about that thing, then go do something else and it'll just open up for you. It will. But like if you say, oh, I have writer's block, then you're going to have writer's block because you've decided already that you have it. So I just don't think it exists. And I just work on something else for a bit and then I come back to whatever I'm working on and it's like, oh, that kind of solved itself. Or taking a walk will just all of a sudden
Totally.
it'll clear it up. It's
And a
amazing.
walk is a great example because there's so much science to support why that's so wonderful for us. And it literally does open up your brain. And so I love learning the neuroscience of things as well. Like looking at the sky is good for you, and being under a tree is good for you. And it's just wonderful. But I love that you're talking about for writers specifically, because yes, the identity piece is so important, and doing that level of identity work is so important. And the way you talk to yourself, like, oh, I'm blocked, or oh, I'm tired. I catch myself sometimes saying, oh, I'm tired, I'm tired. Nope, let's switch it. My energy's rising. I have good energy. Like I'm doing things to support my energy. And I have some friends who say like, oh, I'm not creative, or I don't feel creative. How do you feel creative? And I'm like, this is identity work. Everyone is inherently creative. I believe that we are creative beings. And so recognizing and feeling gratitude for, I encourage people to start small. I'm like, look at every single decision that you make, what you put on in the morning, the clothes that you wear, how you cook your food, how you organize and sort your day, especially like cooking. I'm like, if you're not feeling creative, like go cook something. Like that is very creative act.
Sure.
So all of those things are creative. You don't need to be a musician to feel like a creative. You are inherently creative. You're creating it every day. And then that supports you like, oh, I am creative. I'm not blocked. I can write whatever I need to write.
That's it. Yeah, absolutely. So good. So that one other thing I wanted to ask you about then, you mentioned early on about your the novel that you're working on. And so are you in the process of planning it? Are you drafting it? Where are you in that whole creative process?
Yeah, it's so exciting. Thank you for asking. So last year I drafted, I basically kind of wrote it in this screenplay format, which is fun because I wanted to see each section with like date and location because so far it's loosely based on my life and I have almost 200 pages of that. So now I'm in the revision phase and
Okay.
I'm gonna sort that out, but I'm gonna start with a blank piece of paper and pull everything that I like from that draft and bring it over to the new draft because I had a little detour for some other months where I was working on a different project and then I remembered this is the
Yeah.
this is the dream project. This is the one that I want to be adapted into film. So
Yeah.
this is the first thing that I'm going to put forth and really put my full effort into. So I'm back on the novel and on demonstrating these practices through story, through character, and I'm really excited about it.
Oh, it's so wonderful. I love that you're doing that. And I love that you started a different project and then said, oh, no, it's okay. I'm going to leave this for now. I'm going to go back to where my heart is. And that
Mhm.
other project is not going away. It's there when you're ready for it. Like I totally think folks should just pay attention to what it is needed in that moment because sometimes it's not what you think it is. Like you have this, I need to do this, but really actually you're being pulled in a different direction. You kind of have to just follow that gut
Totally.
instinct, I think, for sure. And that's where your passion is. And yeah, like I say, the other project's going to be waiting for you. And probably what's
Totally.
happening is your brain is still working on that other project in some capacity so that when you go back to it, it'll be like that much clearer, even, right? So I
Yes.
always think like there's no problem with having those kind of well, I'm always a person who has several projects on the go. So I like just, I flip flop between things all the time. And I just enjoy that process. But
Me
that
too.
makes a lot of sense. Yeah, for
Thank
sure.
you for that encouragement. I think it is important, like you said, to like follow the threads while you have it. And I learned so much while pursuing that was like my thought leader book that I was drafting. I learned so much. And what I eventually came to was that I just think my career needs a bit more time.
Yeah. Okay.
So I was like, I will definitely probably return to it once I have more years under my belt with this sort of coaching, and more, people with basically, what's the word I'm looking for? Like feedback and
Yeah.
client testimonies and stuff like that. So I think it's great to start that sort of thing,
Yeah.
but there's
And
time. So
that's
I
so
agree.
good. Yeah. No,
Yeah.
I love that so much because everything about your life, everything you're doing with Substack and on your podcast and with your writing and your speaking, everything is teaching you about that what's going to be in there, right? Like it's all
Mhm.
like you already have the knowledge base and then you're going to bring it forward. So yeah, that makes total sense to me that you would just be like, I'm just going to put a pin in this and I'll be back to it. And in the meantime, it's like you're still doing the research and
Totally.
like I say, your brain is
Yes.
probably still working on those. Like, oh, okay, that's like remember that little bit of information
Yes, I'm
later.
still going to be saving everything. Like, I think it's so important to write down all your ideas and save them. And as things come up, I will put things there, but it's like not the main focus is I'm finishing this novel because that's so important to me right now in
Yeah,
this season. And you learn, you live and learn. I learned things and I was like, time to pivot back to this. And there's no guilt in pivoting back. I was
no,
like, yeah.
yeah, no, it is so great. I love this so much. Well,
Thanks.
I just love having conversations with you. You are always so inspiring to me. You're so knowledgeable,
You
and
too.
so much of what you're talking about resonates. And sometimes there are things that I'm like, it's new to me, and I'm always going to look into. Like, okay, I'm going to go look into more into that, and other things I've heard of. And then when you explain them, it just makes so much sense to me about how to think about our day and how to start our day and how to walk through our day. And it's such a positive way of taking care of ourselves and giving us energy to take care of other people and do the
Mhm.
work and be the creative person that we want to be, right? So I think we need all that whole body embodiment and all of
Yeah.
those tools. And you've given us a ton of things that we can try and explore a little bit more. So thank you so much. Where can people find you online if they want to
Yeah.
learn more?
Thank you so much, Lisa. I appreciate your leadership and your willingness to like share this with your community, and I'm glad that it resonates and helps people because I'm so passionate and my purpose is helping people embody leadership and embody confidence and live on purpose because I sincerely believe that when we're all living like our highest purpose and our love, there's positive ripple effects all over the world. So I'm all about like the ripple effect and the butterfly effect. And I'm on Substack at sophialaetnerjoubert.substack.com. And I know my name is kind of difficult, so we'll type that out. But the movement there was called Step Into Love. I recently rebranded to my name because I was like, I'm the brand, I'm embodying the brand. So I'm putting myself more front and center as of recent. And I'm also on YouTube with the same name, on Instagram with by Sophia Laetner Joubert. Or
Perfect.
on Instagram, it's by Sophia Claire,
Okay,
but they're
perfect.
all linked. I share pretty much the same stuff across platforms. So I'm
Amazing.
so happy to connect with people
Oh,
and
that's
grow
awesome.
this year on YouTube,
Yeah,
especially because growth is the
absolutely.
focus.
Yeah,
Yeah.
fantastic. And we will have your link in the show notes so people can go find it. Absolutely, and follow you in all the places. So thank you so much. I love talking to you as usual. And I wish you all happy
Thank you so
Valentine's
much.
Day and all a great year. And I hope that we can connect again soon.
Let's do it.
Thanks.
Thank you so much. Take care.
Bye. I believe writers need sisu, strength, courage, and determination to get their projects done, and I can help you access your sisu. Are you working on a novel or memoir? You don't have to do it alone. Join us in the Women Writing Circle. We meet bi-weekly for 90 minutes to get pages done. Or consider applying for an upcoming group book coaching program to develop the foundational elements of your story in a supportive community. These 8-week-long programs include weekly coaching calls, goal setting, craft discussion, and personalized feedback on writing tasks. If you'd prefer to work one-on-one, contact me about one of my coaching packages at lisakovala.bookcoach.com. Thanks for taking time out of your schedule to have a coffee break with us at Women Writing. Don't forget to subscribe to Women Writing on Substack. If you like this episode, share it with someone who needs a writing break and a little inspiration. Happy writing! Thank you to Michael Jensen for his original music and editing, and to Mia Jensen for the logo design.